Today is Monday, June 15th, and welcome to episode 23 of the Huddle podcast. I'm your host, Kane White. For the first time since 1994, the United States and two other countries, Canada and Mexico, in North America, are hosting the World Cup. Such a cool thing to see our country hosting such a big event, and seeing people from all over the world come into our country and experience our culture, and for the biggest sporting event in the world to be hosted in multiple cities around our country and in Canada and Mexico as well. Been keeping up with the World Cup a lot. I'm becoming a soccer fan, and that kind of started with the 2014 World Cup. My good buddy Rasmus from Hamburg, Germany, was an exchange student over here at Truman High School. We would keep up with the World Cup some, and he really kind of introduced me to soccer or football, as other people call it, in other countries in the world. And this year, I've really got into the World Cup. I've watched a ton of it, and I'll be honest with you, through 5 days of group play, which, group play is similar to pool play in tournaments before we get to the knockout stage. And through 5 days of group play, two teams have really stood out to me, and this is really no bias. I think it's just the truth. Germany gets a 7-1 win over Curacao. They looked awesome on offense, and you're just attacking nonstop. And then the United States gets a huge 4-1 win over Paraguay. And Paraguay is no pushover. They beat Argentina and Brazil in World Cup qualifying action. So those are two, soccer powerhouses in the world. And so I think the Team U.S. and Germany, they're looking like two of the stronger teams in the World Cup right now. The Netherlands and Japan had a great 2-2 tie yesterday. I think both of those teams are solid as well, but really excited to see how the rest of it plays out. I wish I could get to a game. It's just really hard with timing right now, and getting prepped up for the football season, and some of the ticket prices aren't really that affordable. And so I'll be content with watching every game from the comfort of my recliner, but I'll be keeping up with the World Cup. Hopefully we see USA go further than they ever have. Other sporting news last night, we had UFC Freedom 250 at the White House. The main event was won by an American, Justin Gaethje, in an upset win. That was super cool to see. I'm a huge fan of sporting events that are played in venues that are not common. Dirt races indoors, when they had the NCAA basketball game on the aircraft carrier, but to see a UFC event on the lawn of the most recognizable building in the world, what a cool thing that was. And to see the president front and center, man, that's a super cool thing to celebrate our country's 250th birthday. What a neat event last night was. And fell asleep before the main event. It ran a little late for me, but got to watch the highlights from the Justin Gaethje fight, and shout out to him for winning that fight on the main card, the main event of the night. And other sporting news, you have the New York Knicks winning the NBA Finals. Congratulations to those guys. And the Carolina Hurricanes hoisting the Stanley Cup. Really wish that was my St. Louis Blues, holding the trophy there. Maybe the Blues will get them another cup again soon. But other things we got going on, my good buddy Cody Crittenden, who does so much for this podcast when it comes to graphics and ideas and merchandise. He's helped me out a ton. He is painting a mural right now in downtown Jonesboro. So if you're ever in downtown Jonesboro, Arkansas, this week or next week, and you see a guy out there with a paintbrush getting after it, it's a huge mural he's doing for the city of Jonesboro. I think he's getting close to being done. Super excited to see the finished product. I mean, he's been working his butt off on that thing. And so shout out to my buddy, Cody Crittenden, painting that big time mural in downtown Jonesboro. Go give it a look if you find yourself on Main Street in Jonesboro. We also playing a ton of golf this summer, trying to break my record from last year, playing 600 holes this summer. Don't know if I'm going to quite get there, but I'm going to give it my best go. Played with my little brother last weekend, and man, how awesome was that just to get out and play with him, and just have some brother time. He's super busy right now with his job. And of course, we all have so much going on in life, and it was nice to get to relax and play with him. He's a heck of a golfer, and he's got his own brand, Duck Club Golf. You see the hat I'm wearing here. He's launched the Duck Club Golf apparel company, and kind of tethered towards golf apparel, but with a neat twist, kind of an homage to the duck hunting culture in Northeast Arkansas. And so be on the lookout for some pretty neat merchandise coming from the Duck Club Golf Apparel Company. My little brother, he's working his butt off and doing a great job. And I appreciate the hat there, bro. We got it wearing it today for episode 23 and ready to see what else he has in store. Also, in merchandise news, we still have the In the Huddle summer merch up for purchase. If you're interested, we've got a bunch of different shirt designs, 2 different hat designs. Reach out to me if you're interested in that, and I'll get that shipped out to you or drop it off at your door. Just check on my Facebook or the Instagram at In the Huddle. Got a lot of cool stuff on there. Got a few sizes left, so you better get it while we still got it. Really excited to continue this podcast and happy with where it's going. And, this summer is going to be a lot of fun, big plans on some guests. And I've talked about that in previous podcasts. And, I want to hear from the fans as well, though. If you've got somebody you'd like to hear from, hey, shoot it my way. If there's somebody you're interested in hearing from, I could reach out to them, or I want to hear from the fans. What do you want to hear? Who do you want to hear stories from? Is it high school coaches? Is it somebody that might be a musician or an actor? Who do the In the Huddle listeners want to hear from? That's something that I've asked myself a lot. So I wanted to pose that question to you viewers. If you've got anybody you want to hear from, hey, shoot them my way, and maybe I can pull it off here in the near future. But today's guest, he's become a near and dear friend of mine. He's the head softball coach and the assistant football coach at Paragould High School. He's the most happy-go-lucky person I've surrounded myself in all 29 years on this earth. We coached together at Manila High School when I was the head football coach, but it turned into a deeper bond. We became very, very good friends, and I now call him and his family my own. It is time to get in the huddle with the man who is the epitome of living the dream, Coach Jarrod Bailey.
And so,
today would be the day to golf. It's only 81.
They're just beautiful. I got the top off the Jeep, but it got cold.
Yeah, well, you do get blue hands. Tell what Raynaud's is that like you diagnosed with that? Is that something you have to go to the doctor to get diagnosed for, Raynaud's?
Yes.
So give me the science behind it.
Well, it's just a circulation problem. When you get cold, the damage in your arteries closes,
right,
and it restricts blood flow. Well, what carries heat to your body?
The blood.
Well, so when your blood stops flowing, you get less and less heat. So it's kind of a snowball effect. So once it starts happening, it's really hard to reverse. I have to, get warm, wear gloves, use hot hands, like I'll sit here and be cold the whole time.
Man, well, I should turn the heat on.
No.
But yeah, today would be the perfect day. The other day when we played, it was 106.
106.
Yes.
Ball was not carrying, it was humid.
No, yes. And that was our problem. Yeah. I kept thinking about what our problem was. It was the humidity. Ball wasn't flying as well.
Wasn't flying as well at all.
Yeah, we didn't play up to snuff how we normally play.
Not at all.
Yeah.
But that's the first time we played that course.
Yes, it is. Together.
Yeah.
I liked it, Fox Hills and Paragould.
Right.
It's a decent little course.
It's not bad.
I was telling my grandma, you kind of get everything you want out of a golf course in a 9-hole course. You got tight fairways, open fairways, long par 5s, short par 4s. It's a pretty challenging course.
Pretty challenging. And small greens. This table might be bigger than one of the greens.
The temporary green on one, it is a tiny green.
No 10-footers on that green.
No. Yeah. No gimmies. So I'm here with my good friend Jarrod Bailey, former co-worker, but I never introduce you as that when I'm introducing you to someone. You're just one of my good friends. We just happen to meet each other through work.
Right.
It's just been a blessing to get to know you through work but our friendship, and we've become family. I feel like your family's mine, and it's been a great journey over the past 5 years. But my first question is, are you living the dream today?
I live the dream every day. Every day.
Where did that start? Like when you say living the dream, some people just throw it around here and there.
Yeah.
Like you You live by that. That's your mindset every single day. Where did that start?
Really, I'm going to take it back. We're going to go old school here.
I'm down.
I taught at Osceola for a year.
Yes, I remember that.
And, man, I struggled while I was there because I didn't get to see my kids as much because they were going to Brooklyn. And so, I went with Clark McBride to Barton. And we got down there. Me and Clark are good buddies. We coached together at Wynn. And we got down there, man, and it just hit me. Like, every day's a choice.
Yeah.
Like, you can wake up and be miserable, or you can wake up and live the dream.
That's right.
And it's a mentality, and you've got to – it's a choice you make every day. And then you can choose to be miserable or you can choose to enjoy. And when I got to Barton, my wife was like, she wasn't real excited about moving to Helena. She was like, this is not really where I want to go. I want to be in Paragould. That's where we're from. And she's like, we were living in Brooklyn at the time. And she's like, this is going to be miserable. And I was like, no, we're going to go down there. We're going to live the dream.
That's right.
And so it kind of started there. And then kind of at Barton, I just kind of took off with it there. And I just kept it going. Man,
it's super cool that you have that outlook on life. And, I'm going to kind of skip ahead here and then we're going to circle back. But, my mantra as a coach was always TCB. Take care of business. Okay. And then you come in and you're saying living the dream. And then we combine it into if you take care of business, you can live the dream. So,
that's right. That's right.
Those two things go hand in hand. And so, man, I still say it all the time. And, but it's one of those things that I don't try to throw around either.
Right.
Like, my outlook on life is it is a choice. And I'm choosing to do exactly what I want. I'm meant to be where I am. And so I'm going to make the most out of it.
Well, TCB, like you said, if you take care of us, and God has a way of doing things.
Right.
He brought us together at that point.
Yes.
For who knows what reason, but I'm so glad he did.
Me too.
Me too. Because he brought us together and take care of business, live your dream, and it just rolled.
Right.
It seemed like it was a piece of puzzle that just fit right together.
I remember the first day that you walked into the office there. So you're at Barton. You take the head softball coaching job at Manila, and you're also an assistant football coach. And so that was the 2 years prior to that was my 2 years as an assistant at Manila. We went 1-9 and 1-9. So we'd won 2 games over the past 2 years. What's your thought when you walk into the coach's office? I've never asked you this, I don't think. What's your first thought when you walk into that coach's office at Manila and there's a 23-year-old kid sitting there who's inheriting a 2-win team over the past 2 years, and you gotta coach with this guy? What's your thought process?
Well, to be honest, I didn't know what to think. I was like, man, what's this guy doing? And to be honest, I mean, I've coached football at good schools.
Yes, you have.
I was at Wynn for 11 years. I was at Osceola, who they weren't good the year I was there, but typically they got a good program.
It's a powerhouse.
Right.
It's an Arkansas high school small town powerhouse.
And then I went to Barton.
Right.
I mean,
which is another one.
The history there, but so that in my mindset, I was thinking it's Manila football. How good can they be? And here's this young coach. I mean, we're going to do the best with what we got.
Right.
It's going to be. I was more coming for the softball.
Of course.
And I was like, okay, I know there's some softball athletes there. I said, well, we're going to make softball go, and football, I'm just hoping it goes okay.
Right.
Really, that was kind of my mindset. But then, I ain't going to lie, when I interviewed, and you said you run the flex phone,
yeah,
and I watched a couple of days of spring practice, I went back to Barton, and I told those guys, I said, he's not running the flex phone.
Oh, come on, man.
I said, he's running counter and toss. I said, he's not running zone dive. He's not running option. I said, he's running counter and toss. I said, that's not the flex bone, because I learned the flex bone under Chris Hill at Wynn.
Right.
And then McBride went to Barton, and that's what we ran at Barton. And we were big zone dive, mid triple, then dive option. I mean, we ran a lot of that.
Really, the Harding University version of the flex bone.
Right.
And then when you're talking about counter and toss, that's kind of the more Georgia Tech style.
Right.
And we'll get into this later.
Right.
I was heavy in the Georgia Tech department early, and then I kind of ended up blending the two. So
it worked, but it worked.
It did. It worked at times.
And that's what. But then I also went back to Barton. I told those guys, I said, I don't know what we've heard about Manila football, but there's athletes up there. There's some kids that can play. I mean, I remember walking in the locker room and looking at Brandon Parrish and thinking, holy cow, he's a big kid.
Yes.
Wilson, big kid.
Right.
Those kids they were athletic.
Mm-hmm.
And then you throw DC and Kurt in there, those athletes that could, you could get the ball to. I was like, we got a chance to be pretty good.
Right. And that was kind of my mindset when I took the head coaching job is, I had seen the insides of it.
Right.
Like I knew that, man, we're about to have a senior class who, heck, 12 or 13 of them had started on one side of the ball for 2 years already. Right. They're hungry. They're athletic. Okay. And they were great kids. That was the biggest thing. And I'm like, I'm not saying we're going to go win a conference title or, win 9 games, but I think we could go, make the playoffs. And it ended up being a perfect storm. You coming in, Coach Morgan coming back to coach with us, and Alex Richard, who was gung-ho, and Danny Helms, and then all that culmination of kids who had started for 2 years and were tired of getting their teeth kicked in, and they were ready to roll.
The energy was crazy, and that goes back to you. I mean, you're a high energy guy. Well, I mean, you're high energy, and the kids reflected that. Like when I got there, it wasn't a lot of just moping around and just halfway doing stuff. It was go, go, go.
Right.
And that was you pushing buttons. Hey, let's go.
Right. And, man, I've looked so forward to going to practice every single day. I had all this just extra stuff going on. And getting the kids excited about the program was the biggest thing, in my opinion. It wasn't the X's and O's. It was let's make this thing. I want these kids to think they're the Pittsburgh Steelers. I want them to have a great time. But you talk about energy, and this kind of skipping ahead to a question I had later on. But, you've been doing this for a really long time. But your energy is unmatched. I'm not tooting my own horn. I think I'm just self-aware. I was trying to always be the most energetic guy on the staff or in the room, as a head coach, as an assistant. You're the first person that's ever challenged me in that realm. How do you keep that energy? Where does that come from?
Well, I think it's a love for what you do.
Okay, yeah, of course.
I love what I do. Love working with kids. I love getting up every day and watching kids grow and get better and have success. Mm-hmm. And so, it's that choice. It goes back to that choice. You can go into work and think, oh, it's another day to work, or you can go into work. All right, it's another chance to work with these kids and see them grow and see them do things. And, the kids are going to follow you.
Of course.
If you're down and pouting and not energy, they're not going to have energy.
It's contagious either way.
Right.
You can be a vampire or you can be on the energy bus, or whatever that saying is.
So I try to be up and motivate the kids. It's hard to follow somebody that's not very motivated.
Right.
And so I just think it's a choice that we make. And I don't know. I love what I do.
Me too. I really do. And, man, early on, I could just tell. I'm like, oh, my gosh. Now I've got to match this guy's here. We're talking about yours. Yeah. And, man, I think that staff we had, me and you were so high strung, and Coach Morgan, who was the calm in the storm, it was really perfect.
It was.
And, man, I can't thank you enough for what you brought to the table with your energy. There was days where my day wasn't perfect, and I may have been struggling a little bit on the inside. But every time I saw you and you bopping around on the practice field or in the field house, it made me feel better. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I loved it. You made it fun to work. You did. You were young, you were excited, and you want the program to be good. And that's all. I want to work for guys that want to be successful.
Right.
When you go somewhere, I've worked for coaches that they just want to sit in the office and not do a whole lot. And,
right.
Not really look how to build the program. And, one of my softball coaching buddies, she always says, let's leave it better than we found it.
Absolutely.
And I've really taken heart to that is every program I'm in, I want to leave that program better than when I found it.
Right.
That's my goal.
And leave your mark. And not only as a, wins and losses thing, but, did you impact people? Did you make people's days better? And I kind of took that, leave it better when you found it, or leave it better than how you found it. I took that to heart in multiple ways. When we left a visiting locker room, I made sure that it was clean and nice, neat, sweeping. And then when you say goodbye to a place like I did Manila, I felt like it may have been better than where I found it, just because of the connections that I made. And, it made me a better person, and people like you and all the kids that we were around, we all impacted each other in a beautiful way.
Oh, it was awesome. I like I said, that year was a perfect storm.
It was.
It was just one of the most fun years I had coaching. And that's hard to do because me and Clark, I worked with Clark McBride from Wynn for a couple of years at Wynn, and me and him got to be real close and real good buddies. And we went to Barton. We had a good time down there, but it was just up here was special.
It really was.
And just the camaraderie we had and the atmosphere was enjoyable.
It was. And we're about to get into some of those stories. So at what point, and I'm not talking like, rah-rah or morale, like at what point in that season, or was it in the summer, when did you look around and go, okay, I think we're going to be a pretty good football team in that 2021 season? At what point, was there a certain point when that light kind of clicked on for you?
I might have to go to Midnight Madness.
Okay.
I mean, it was something that I've never been a part of before. It was different.
Me either.
and a lot of people don't like change.
Right.
And our kids owned it.
Yes.
Like they'd come up to the field house that day before, and we kept them overnight and led up to the practice, and man, just the energy that night. And a tribute to you as the head coach. I mean, you were bouncing out there, you had your whistle going, we were doing this and doing that, and it wasn't just a high strung, intense like practice, but it was high energy. And those kids were flying around, just flying around and doing stuff, and they were listening and they were working. And I think right then, that morning, after we finished that morning, should have been dog tired.
Right.
Should have been dog tired, but I don't remember feeling dog tired.
Me either.
I mean, I felt like, all right, we're ready to go.
Right.
And that was the first day of practice.
Exactly. First day of fall camp. And that was just something that I had taken from, you see a lot of college basketball programs that do that. And I know that was, weird and different, but I was always looking at ways to get way outside of the box just to see if something stuck. Right. And that sounded crazy, to practice high school football at midnight in the mosquitoes. It wasn't too hot, but mosquitoes tore us up. But man, that's something I look back on too, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I think that's right. I think kids are more successful when they have fun.
Right. I don't know, no doubt.
I think that's the purpose of sports, is they're games. They're supposed to be fun.
Right.
And that night, man, I saw those kids having fun and just getting after it, and I was like, all right, this is coming together.
Right.
This is coming together. We'd done the summer workouts and the heat and the running and the throwing up and all that good stuff. But this was different. It was kids just getting out there having fun.
Right. And that's the way I always approached it is, okay, if I was 16 or 17 years old, would I want to play for myself? Would I be excited to go to practice? And that's just really what I tried to put out there on the field, and then doing things like the Midnight Madness. And I think back to even the people that helped out in the community. They fed them breakfast at 2 a.m. when we were done. And man, that was a special time. But if you're a former player out there and you're listening to this, I hope you know that I just hope you had fun. That was the biggest thing. If you had fun, then it was worth it.
Yep. It was a good time, man. That was phenomenal.
Right. So we go through fall camp. We're feeling good. We were very deep at multiple positions, and we roll out and we scrimmage, and it goes decent. We beat Cross County right there at the end in the scrimmage. Of course, it didn't go on the record, but I feel like that was kind of important too, to get them get a taste of a victory. Even though it was the school board, I don't even think it was turned on
I don't
that night.
Seeing a score that night, but to have success, to taste it, and for a bunch of kids that haven't had a lot of success.
Right. And you got to think that maybe the kids were thinking, okay, we've been in this spread system. We've been in this 3-down defensive system. We've come in, we've overhauled everything X's and O's. We've overhauled a lot of stuff culture-wise. I don't like using the C word, culture, but that's what it was.
Right.
I think that was big for those kids to go, okay, this might work. If they had any doubt in their mind, some of those seniors that knew football and, okay, this might work. I think that scrimmage was pretty important.
I think so. I really think, the first week against Earl, even though we didn't win.
Oh, man.
Oh, golly, 6 fumbles.
Yeah. We sat at this table, me and you, after that game. And I had told my father on the phone after we scouted Earl, and this is not a knock to the Earl football program because they have been highly successful for a long time. I said, if we don't beat Earl, I don't know how many games we'll win. Right. And we lose that game by a score after fumbling 6 times. And we sat right here. This is the same table that I had in my first apartment at Manila. And I looked at you. I said, I don't know if we'll win a game. Then I'm overthinking and all this. And then you kind of come in and smack me around and wake me up.
Yeah. I mean, it was a tough loss. And we thought they were going to run that 3-3 stack and blitz some backers, and they never did.
They went 4 down on us.
They never did. So we kind of missed up there. But no, I mean, 6 fumbles is hard to overcome against anybody. I don't care how good or bad they are.
Right.
And then we had Neil went down with the heat.
And that's
huge.
And we talk about that a lot. That kind of threw me off my game in the second half. Mm-hmm. Not only the connection me and Bri have, heck, he was an usher at my wedding, but anytime you see one of your kids go down in a scary situation, if it had been anybody on that team, I would have felt the same exact way. It kind of threw me off my game. I was pretty terrified of the situation.
Right. Well, young head coach, first game, and a kid goes down. I mean, that's going to be in your mind.
Right.
That's going to affect your play calling. That's going to affect, and respectfully, Mr. Overachiever here, no delegation. I coach the offense. I coach the defense. I coach the special teams. The only thing you let other people coach is the water coolers and towels at this point.
For a little bit. Until somebody smacked me around and said, hey, you got to let us do something.
You got to delegate. But so you got everything on your plate, and you're trying to do it all, and then a kid goes down, which as a coach, that's the worst thing we want to happen.
Of course.
Any kid to go down. And so when he goes down, that's going to be on your mind, and in a close game, that's going to affect a decision here or there that might have changed the score. But essentially, at the end of the day, 6 fumbles, and I think the kids understood that too. I think they bought into okay, we've got to hold on to the ball.
Yeah, and especially in our offense, when we could slow it down, which what we wanted to do most of the time. We could speed it up, but keeping it on the ground predominantly, we had to hold on to that joker. And, there were factors that played into that. I'm not, making excuses. The sweat was ridiculous, and it was humid, and the ball's wet, and, we had a few fumbled snaps, and that's from, inexperience of a quarterback who had never taken a snap under center in a live game. And so, I used to have all the stats from that season, but I want to say we turned the ball over 6 times in that week 1 game. I think we only had around 7 or 8 turnovers the rest of the season, and think 3 or 4 of those being interceptions. Right. And so that was a kind of a really cool wake up call to say, hey guys, we gotta hold on to the freaking football.
Right. Yeah. And they did. Like I said, I don't remember us fumbling again until week 6.
Yeah. And that was a testament to you for teaching the running backs how important it was to hold on to the football on Monday after that happened.
Some of them were a little slow to learn, but they figured it out, but.
And, I look back at that night, we lose a heartbreaker. It was, we had the ball to go tie it up, and it looks like we get a first down. They stretch the chain, and the ball may or may not have been across it. And, hey, everybody makes mistakes. I'm not placing blame on referees. I should have called a better game. I think I placed the blame on myself first. But, we get in the locker room after, and, of course, in this day and age, kids take pictures of everything, right? Parents take pictures, and that's perfectly fine. We want to create memories. Heck, we take pictures every time we golf.
Every time.
And there was a player on that team, Peyton McQueen, who was in the locker room, and I think I'm the one that asked him, Peyton, go out there and take your pictures with your people, and he goes, no reason to take one. Yeah. We lost. I'm not happy. And that's when I think me and you kind of looked at each other at that moment. We're like, okay, it matters to them now.
Right.
Yeah.
It was important to them. They didn't like losing.
All right. And on that next week, we finally got over that little losing streak. We went down to EPC and got our first win, and my first win as a head coach. The ball's sitting right there still. Do you remember that following week after the EPC win, how mad I was? Why?
Because we were missing a football.
We were missing a football.
Yeah.
And when did this finally come up?
Well, after the game, I figured we needed a game ball. Coach gets his first win. That's big. I don't care if you're 23. I don't care if you're 43. Your first win at the high school level is important.
It was.
And so I felt like, I would ask forgiveness later, but I was going to take it upon myself to take a game ball and hide it and keep it and store it away. And eventually all the kids signed it and all the coaches signed it. And
so this is news to me. That was all your idea.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah. Thanks, man.
I just thought, he needs this ball. If I was coaching my first game, my first win, it'd be nice to have something to remember that by.
Right.
A picture or a ball or something, and we're at Lepanto, so I'm sure there's not going to be a lot of newspaper clippings of it.
Right.
We're in the day and age of internet, and I'm just going to be honest, the internet's not covering EPC Manila very much.
No, not a lot.
Not in football. So I was like, well, about the only thing we really that's going to be stationary that we can have to keep for a long time is going to be football lasts forever.
Right. And it has. It's still right there in the same case that y'all gave it to me in. And so I appreciate that.
Man. You're welcome. I just thought it was something that we needed to do. So we kept it up in our room. Me and Danny and Morgan kind of kept that secret.
That's awesome, man. Man, thank you guys so much. And sorry for losing my mind that week over us. And man, I kept tabs on everything. We had 6 game balls, and for some reason we only had 5, and I was losing it.
I didn't know where it went, Coach.
Hey, you were water coolers and towels at the time. You weren't coaching the footballs.
Yeah, I couldn't do it all. I had to make sure we had coolers and ice water, and we had clean towels. Footballs wasn't on my list.
So if you're out there and you don't know much about Coach Jarrod Bailey, he's a fantastic softball coach. He knows more football than I do by far, and he's a great position coach. He coached the slot backs and the D backs. Or the outside linebackers, at Manila that year. But he always says, I coach water coolers and towels.
Water coolers and towels.
He keeps up with them. Yep. So we get APC. We get Mark Tree at home in a good game. Mark Tree was really good that year. Mm-hmm. And I asked you this earlier. At what point did you think we were going to be a good team? I didn't know if I had that yet. Right. We're 2-1 in non-conference play. I didn't quite know where it was going to go at that point. And I think I told the kids this a bunch. I don't care if you go 3-0 in non-conference, 0-3 in non-conference, doesn't matter. It has no say on whether you go to the state playoffs or not. We've got to go make the state playoffs. We've got to win 2 or 3 conference games, whatever it was. And so Piggott comes to town, and I think you maybe have said this is probably the most nervous I've ever been.
No. Woo! Talk about a guy that was nervous. You were nervous. You couldn't sit still. You were fidgety. You were moving around. You was like, go, 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 this, that. I mean, you were everywhere. Like a rat on acid.
I couldn't because if I'd sat still, I'd throw up. Yeah. And, we'll get into that. And, I think you saw me throw up 12 days that year before every game.
Yeah,
so
before every game. It was coming. I knew it was coming. I knew you was nervous. But they come to town, and I was like, man. And I knew I didn't know how good we were going to be. I knew at that midnight practice we were going to be good.
Right.
We had a good team with a good core group of kids that played for each other.
Yes.
And so I knew we were going to be good. And then we lost Earl, and then we won those next 2. And I was like, EPC and Mark Tree are not slouches in the 2A.
No, not at all.
They're good football programs. So I was like, okay, we've got a chance to be decent. Now we're moving up 3A. Let's see, where we're at. And, we went and watched Piggott.
Right.
And bless their
Scouted.
hearts. You called every play from the bleachers. I mean, every play. So I was pretty confident in your knowledge,
right.
Of your game plan and everything that we had to do. So I was like, we just need the kids to go play.
Right. Right.
We just need them to go play. But you had that little side-by-side burning the streets. We had that little side-by-side that I'll never forget. You was driving that thing all over campus.
Yeah, making sure every pylon was straight and every blade of grass wouldn't have enough paint on it. And I couldn't sit still, man, just because when it came to my nerves, it wasn't I was I wanted to be great. I was worried that I was going to screw it up for the kids. I've lost so much in my life. I went 3-27 as a player in high school. I wasn't necessarily worried about winning. I just didn't want to let the kids down. Right. And that's where, those nerves came from every Friday night. But something that sticks with me is this. We're warming up for that Piggott game. You come to me and you said, you think they know?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
I'll never forget it. We were on the side-by-side.
We're on the side-by-side.
They were unloading.
Okay, that's what it was. So it was we hadn't taken the field for warm-ups yet.
Not yet.
And so
they were unloading.
And so what did you say to me that provoked me a little?
I said, do you think they know?
And
you were like, do you think they know what? I said, do you think they know? And you were a nervous wreck. Like
right.
You were driving that cart. I just looked over and saw Piggott getting their stuff out. And I just looked over and looked, you think they know? And you were like, do they know what? I said, that they're about to get their tails whooped.
And then that gave me a sense of calm.
Yeah. I mean,
Because
you were a nervous wreck. I had something to break the ice and say, calm down. Okay, it's time to relax. Okay?
Right. And finally, I think I did. I think I probably still threw up, but I had a little bit of a sense of calm. But for me, we went 3 and we got the ball first, went 3 and out, punted. We 3 and out them. And then the one play that I can go back to, one thing that happened that, okay, we can play. This is going to be a fun team. We blocked the punt. We blocked the punt. We picked it up on the 1 yard line. I've watched that clip so many times. I can't tell you who exactly gets their hand on it. Billy Morris is back there. Colin Crook's back there. There's just this wad of bodies in black uniforms around the punter. Right. We schemed that one up perfect. And at that point,
as in you.
Oh, well.
Special teams coordinator.
Yeah. At that point in time, yes.
Still delegated. But it was something you took pride in with special teams, and you drew it up perfect. I mean, you had us game planned, and you had those kids lined up, and they bought it. They were like, we're going to get it.
Right, and they did.
Like you said, we had there was several people back there that had a chance to block it.
Right. Yeah. And so, and I always tagged the guy. I was like, hey, you're going to be the one that's going to block it. You're going to be the one. I don't even know if it was Billy Morris that was supposed to block the thing, but he gets back there and a couple of other guys. And that's the point in the season where I was like, okay, we've got something to work with. We could be scary. We end up winning the game, scored 60 points, the most in school history. And that was the first conference win. And from then on, like, I was like, okay, we're going to have a chance to go to the state playoffs, but still didn't really feel like what ended up happening was going to happen.
Right. I mean, 9-3 is phenomenal. Even at 2-2, when you're sitting there at 3-1 after beating Piggott, and not disrespecting, but Piggott was a weaker team in the conference, and you don't foresee, a 9-3.
Right.
It don't just click in your mind. Oh, okay, we're gonna go 7-1 in the conference.
Yeah, that seems so far away at that point, right? Like it didn't even seem reachable, and I think that gave the kids such a big shot in the arm, and then they just rolled from there. Corning came into town the next week, and we were confident. We said, man, it's going to take something crazy to happen for them to be in the game with us or to beat us. We felt confident in that one, and some crazy thing happened with the weather. It rained nowhere else in Northeast Arkansas that night. I remember sitting at my apartment with you watching football Friday night. I'm like, it didn't rain. It didn't rain here. It didn't rain there. Right. It come a downpour.
Monsoon.
I mean, as hard as it could rain for the first half of the game. I would say 85% of the first half was played in between the 30s. I mean, there was no movement. And so we kind of had to find a way to win that one. And, hats off to the kids for not making excuses about the weather and finding a way to get it done.
Right. And we took care of the ball. And conditions that were not ideal for taking care of the ball.
Not favorable at all for any offense.
For any offense. And our kids did. They took care of the ball that night. And, man, we just found a way to win.
Right.
And that's what they did. And like I said, it didn't rain anywhere. How it didn't rain anywhere else as much as it rained here that night.
And it's like it didn't move. It's like it was just sitting over the football field. But anyway, we found a way. And then we go to Harrisburg the next week, and we knew if we won that one, we'd clinch a playoff spot. Right. And, being that was my rival in high school, Harrisburg, I was juiced up for that one. And heck, we go down 12-0. Early, within the first 4 minutes of the game.
Right.
And man, I remember calling a timeout and getting the whole team up and just relax. We've been here before because we were actually down against EPC. Yeah. We had to claw back against Earl, and we ended up finding a way to get that one done. And that was an exciting game.
Yes, that was exciting. So tell me exactly. Okay, I want to know because I wasn't in the huddle when you called that timeout. I was down at the far end. What exactly did you say to them boys when it was 12-0?
I think I distinctly remember saying that, hey, we're pressing right now. I think we're freaking out. The game plan was kind of it was happening as we thought. Their RPO stuff, man, was really stressing the edge of our defense. I said, just play your technique, play exactly how we practiced it because we knew that the RPO stuff was going to give us problems. Right. But the biggest thing is. So I made that slight adjustment. Well, it wasn't even an adjustment. It was just telling them to calm down. Right. Just play ball how it's played, and we're good. But I said, guys, we've been here before. We've come back in a few games. Like, just relax, okay? Continue to move the football, hold on to the football, rally to the football on defense, and it'll all work itself out. And so it was really just to get them to calm down. I mean, that was the biggest thing, is I told them that we've been here before. And in that moment, I don't know why, I felt really calm. Like, I think it was, I was always the nervous one. I never let the kids see it. But I could tell they were starting to get a little nervous because we were on a roll. And they wanted the roll to keep going so bad that they kind of, I think they put a little too much pressure on themselves. And maybe I did too. But the message was just to, hey, calm down. We've been here before. Let's roll that thing out there and go.
If you go back and watch the film of that game, from that time out until the end of the game, we dominated that game.
We did. We dominated for the rest of the game.
They come back and made it close there at the end with some help. But for the next 3.5 quarters, we pretty much dominated that game. Like, it turned a complete 180. They were up 12-0 4 minutes into the game, and then it just was like they couldn't do anything, and we did whatever we wanted.
And I think part of that goes back to, I'm not patting myself on the back. I think calling the timeout and getting the whole team together, not just the defense, not just the guys that were on the field. Like, hey, I was pulling guys off the bench. Like, everybody's up here right now. We're in this thing together. And they played for each other that night. And, man, we, Kurt Overton bust one for 88, right there late in the second quarter. I don't know if anybody knows this or not. I think it might be the only time I've ever done this. Alex Richard called that play. He did. So now – Coach Rich, the world knows now. You called that play. It was a great one. Him trying to get us to throw a screen in the rain against Corning, that was maybe not as much of a good call. No, I'm messing with you, Alex. But it was a great call. We hadn't run it, maybe all season. It's something that we had repped. And that was me as a play caller, just to trust what we practiced. Even though we haven't run in the game, you're going to have to run it at some point. And that's kind of what he said. And, Kurt busted one for 88. I think it's tied at half, and then we throw backside post to Kurt coming out first play of the second half. We drew that one up at half, and then, man, it was just it was wild from there. We're taking that 2-score lead, and then I don't know if you know this or not. Maybe it was something we discussed. We get the ball with 3 minutes left in the third quarter and score with 3 minutes left in the fourth. We had the ball. One drive took an entire quarter of football. We converted 6 fourth downs on that drive. And then the last 3 minutes of the game in real time took longer than that drive.
For sure.
The whistles and the game being over and then the game not being over. And Brent Wilson, bless his heart, I know you remember this. Brent Wilson is one of the most fantastic young men you'll ever meet. Just kind-hearted, a leader by example. He's soft-spoken, but he does everything the right way. Remember, we would mess with him in practice. We tried to get him to see if we could catch him messing something up, and he never would. And he actually did the wrong stretch one day, out of order, and we, messed with him. Oh, he messed up, as a joke. But that's got to be the only penalty he's ever had called on him. Was a roughing the passer on a sack, and it gave them a first down. And I think that's when the shirt came untucked and the play card ripped and all that, and it was anarchy.
It was wild. It was a wild finish.
Yes.
Yeah, I can remember you getting definitely. There was one time I looked out there and you're inside the hashes.
Yeah, I was. I went to talk to the refs, and because it got to a point where, and everybody's got an important job to do, and everybody takes their job seriously. Everybody wants to do things right, and at this level of football, not everything's going to be perfect. It's not going to be like we see it on ESPN on Saturdays and Sundays. And so I always gave the benefit of the doubt, but so much was just, there was so much unknown going on, and from multiple angles that I had to get some clarification on a few things, and but we ended up getting that one done.
Yeah, that was nerve-wracking there at the end.
It really was.
It was. I was getting nervous there at the end. But our kids, man, they seem to never get flustered. You know, as much as things were going against us there at the end. Right. They never did get attitudes. They never did try to, disrespect the game or the other team, or they just played. Right. And I remember thinking back to that, and I was like, man, these guys they're starting to figure it out. Right. We got a long way to go, but they're starting to understand that, hey, there's purpose here.
Right.
And man, it was exciting.
Yeah, it really was.
That was so exciting watching you throw up all afternoon.
I distinctly remember before the game, Coach Morgan made a comment about mustard on a burger or something, and I just went to throw up again. Like I couldn't help it, man. I couldn't eat. I made myself so nervous. I just couldn't help it.
I remember me and Coach Morgan saying, he's the one that's going to need hydration.
Legit, yeah.
You know, he's going to need to be hydrated, or he's going to pass out there.
There were multiple times I thought I was going to, especially in that one.
Boy.
But you know, we ride back home. We clinched the playoff spot. We beat Walnut Ridge. You know, but before that, you know, Hoxie comes over and we got the KIT game of the week. You know, it's for a potential conference championship, and it was for the conference championship. We just didn't know it at that point. And you know, man, they just drummed us. They got us. They were better than us that night. And I remember at halftime, you know, we're down 35-0 or whatever. And then, you know, shout out to my guy Cole Sears, who I'm working with now, and Austin Williams. They both, and Coach Sears, they had some great game plans.
They had a great game plan.
And they got us on that one. Yeah. But Dustin Clark at halftime, who, if you know Dustin Clark, he wants everything to go good all the time. He's all bought in. You know, he can get really pumped up. But at halftime, he's going in there calming guys down. Hey, we're good, guys. It's no big deal. Hey, let's find a way to claw back into it. Like seeing that from him as a leader and a guy who had never really vocally led in the right way before, to do it in that moment, I think was also really big for our team.
Oh, huge for our team, because he was a leader for our team.
Yeah, he was.
You know, I mean, he was a big leader, and it started back in spring practice.
Right.
You know, and you know, circling back, you know, before, you know, me and him had kind of butted heads with the Bear Crawl with the footballs,
right?
You know, and you know, by the time we play Hoxie, you know, he's that guy. He come to me if he fumbled on Friday night at practice on Monday. I didn't have to go look for him. He said, "Coach, I got my Bear Crawls after practice." I did. You know, he was a leader on that team, and to see him step up, like you said, in that role right there was phenomenal for him and for our kids. You know, because I know he had a little history before I got here. Right. You know, a little back history. And I wasn't in here when that happened and what all went on with him. But, you know, for that 7-month period, he was a leader. He was a awesome leader for that team, you know, physically and vocally. Right. Yeah.
And it's hard to do at 17 years old when things are going bad. Yeah. You know, to be that rah positive guy when things are going bad is hard. It's even hard. It was hard for me as a 23, 24-year-old. Right. But for him at that age to do that, it was a huge step. And it showed in how he's grown as a man and what he's doing now, having all this success.
Right. Well, and I'm going to toot your horn a little bit. He had a good example to follow.
I appreciate that.
You know, he had a good example to follow, because never at any point during any game of that season did I ever feel like your energy was down. Your attitude was down. You were never down on the kids. Right. You know, everything didn't go perfect.
No, not at all.
I mean, we made mistakes. We did things wrong, and you coached them up and corrected them. But there was never a time where you were in a negative mindset. Right. With those kids.
And that was just, I was living the dream. I was.
And it bled over to the players, you know, and leaders on the team see that, and then they try to take what you do and lead the team. And that's what that was. That was a bleed over from your attitude and your efforts all year long.
I appreciate it. And that was the goal, right? Is to make kids understand that they're a part of something much bigger than themselves, and for them to be able to accomplish things maybe they didn't think they could, whether it be on the field or off. And this is an off the field scenario, and that the off the field wins I think are bigger than the on the field wins. I really do, because that's life, right? Like when you can take steps forward in life outside the game, like, and especially at a young age, like that was super cool to see.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you think about those kids today. How many of those kids are still playing football?
None of them.
But they got jobs.
Yep.
Some of them have families.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, they're living life every day.
Right.
You know, and like you said, that off the field stuff is what they take with them.
Right.
You know, and that's what you like to see.
Right.
You know, that's where I saw Dustin this past softball season.
Awesome.
His little sister was playing for the Manila Junior High team, and he come over to Paragould and watched him play, and I got a chance to talk to him, and he's doing good, man. And I knew that was going to happen. I knew he had a chance to be successful in life because of what he exemplified that senior year.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know, I mean, and to see him doing good, and and buying a house and buying a truck and
Right.
having a good job and just being proud of who he is.
Right.
You know, walking with that chest up and just a great kid. You know, just a great kid, and just to see him be successful like that, I mean, it makes me enjoy what I do so much.
Exactly. And and if you're a former player or a current player, you're gonna listen to this. Like, I still feel like I'm winning from that season today because of things like that.
Right.
You know, seeing guys with great jobs at the steel mill or or whatever they're doing, and it's just really cool to see. That's the product that that you like to see at the end of the day.
Right.
You know, that's so much bigger than winning 9 games, so much bigger than breaking all those records. And I told those guys that over and over again, and I think maybe now that they understand that, and so really cool.
Right, but buying into those life principles, you take those life principles that you're teaching there, the being positive, the working hard, the doing the things right. That leads to success on the field.
Exactly.
Just like it leads to success in life, and that's what those players started understanding.
Right.
Is that, okay, I do these little things right on the field, we're going to start winning more.
Exactly.
I do these little things right in life, I'm going to be successful.
Right.
And it all bleeds together, and that was a special group.
It was.
Just bought into that, and it's just beautiful.
It was. And I think another thing that was beautiful about that season is after, Hoxie comes in and absolutely drums us on our home field, with the news station there, and it's so hyped up. I thought for just maybe 1 second, okay, are we going to turn around and is that the end of this Cinderella run? Like, is that it? Are we going to, lose these last 2?
We're going to go back to being Manila football.
Exactly. And they answered the call, man.
Yeah.
When they came back the next week, Tanner Miller, heck, he only threw 6 touchdown passes all season. He threw 3 of them against Walnut Ridge, and the defense played lights out that night, and that's when we clinched the home playoff spot, and that had never been done. And man, that night for me was really big and special. And there's a really cool video, and this is probably bad by me, but at the end of the game, the water gets dumped on me, Gatorade or whatever. Somebody was taking a video from the sideline, but what I look at that video is behind me. It's Peyton McQueen, all-state middle linebacker, who is yelling at a linebacker who was maybe a second or third string guy on the field at the end of the game and helping coach him up. Mm-hmm. And I look at that and I'm like, and that kind of goes back to the thing we talked about with Dustin at halftime. Like, now we're pouring into them the right way. Now they're getting to become leaders. Right. And so, that was a special night. And then the week 10 of the season against Osceola, that's a night that I'll never forget.
Talk about the fake punt. Talk about the fake punt, because that was probably the turning point in that game.
Yeah. So I kind of got that idea from Jake Hill, who was the head coach at Manila before I was.
All right.
I was under him. I got that idea off of kind of an offensive set, where he would, if the defense he sub, whatever, you kind of hide a guy on the sideline. And that's just something that I picked up from him. And I'm like, I think we could pull that off, on a fake punt situation, especially – I know it's as crazy as it sounds, us being in all white that night, and if you remember, like, in that particular situation, like, I didn't really want to be close to any of the kids while I was calling the game. If we made that fake punt call, I wanted a bunch of the kids to kind of come close to me, right, to kind of help hide him. That's why it was called camo. Right. And so at that point, I just thought that it was a good point in the game to run that. It was in the first half. We hadn't mustered up a lot offensively yet. It was before we found a big hole in their defense, and the adjustment needed to be made. And I was scared to call it, but I did. And heck, he made a freaking fantastic catch. And so I give all the credit to Kurt throwing it and Brian making the play, and then even the guys on the sideline that did what they were coached to do and to kind of help hide him. And so. Man, that was pretty cool.
Well, because that was a big play in the game. Because, like you said, neither one of us offensively were doing much. It was just a smash mouth, 3 and out, maybe get a first down. Ball didn't really move a whole lot. Right. Nobody was really moving the ball, and we were in our own end. Right. If you remember, we were. We were in our own end. So if we don't get that there, I mean,
we're backed up pretty good.
We're setting them up, and I was like, man. It's a tough call, but hey, yeah, it's a good one.
Right.
When it works, it's a good call.
Yeah, it was wide open, and heck, I think the return man ended up almost, covering it up, but he made a great play. And so, but before that, even, like, that was a heck of a day.
Yeah.
Remember, we go to our pregame meal.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget Caden Horton, who, man, we love that guy. He's on the Jonesboro Fire Department now, by the way.
I talked to him today.
Really?
He called, and one of these coaching stories that you love, he called me today. He said, Coach, I just want to see what she's doing. He said, me and my girlfriend just sitting around. He said, we're just going to see a good time when we come by and visit you.
Awesome.
You know, and as coaches, that's what, man, that's winning.
Yeah, it is.
That's when kids have graduated and they want to come hang out at your house and talk to you and tell you about their life and experiences with you. I mean, that's
those are the cool ones in
so
life.
pumped today. But go ahead.
Yeah, so we leave pregame meal, and he's walking into the field house, and he said, Coach, I got to go to the bathroom really bad. And I was, all right, go ahead, let's go. And so he walks into the backside of the field house, and I hear him in this blood-curdling scream, Coach, what help? And so then I freak out. I run in, and this urinal had shot, like, I guess something happened. A pipe busted or something. It was shooting out into the locker room all over our white game pants. Mm-hmm. If you remember that. And so we had to shut the water off, and then I'm freaking out even more because we're playing Osceola for the second seed. They're a powerhouse. Mm-hmm. I'd never coached against Osceola and got a D1 running back and all this. And, like, that did not help at all until we get on the bus and you're driving. I'm sitting there next to you, and I said, oh, well, you know what? Hey, cards are against us, whatever. Let's just go have fun. Let's just go play. We know that we've got a home playoff game. Let's just go play and have some fun. Right. And, that got me a little calmed down, that little hiccup there. Right. And then, we go over there, and we had a great crowd that night, man. They traveled so well.
Yes. We had more people there than they did.
Yeah, and that's we jog out, and if you remember, I flicked the headset down. I just said home game over and over. I was like, tell the kids we're playing at home. Tell the kids we're playing at home. And, man, thank you to the Manila faithful that night for the support. Sure. It goes in at half 0-0. Mm-hmm. And
it was man, hammered down.
It was.
Both teams just hitting hard. Both defenses not giving up anything. I mean, it was a tough game.
It was. I think back to, our defensive game plan. We made a huge adjustment. We went too high. We hadn't run too high safeties all year long. Mm-hmm. And, man, that in itself was a gamble. We take some bodies out of the box, and man, that just those three linebackers, Peyton McQueen, Brian Neal, and Kobe Taylor was playing in the middle that night. On that wide 4-3, man, they held a D1 running back to 38 yards. Yeah. And that defensive front, the Parrish brothers. Nate was hurt, but you had Brandon Parrish, Brent Wilson, Jackson Ronnie, Big Wade Evans there in the middle. Cam Powers, I think, had to play some defense that game, and he was primarily an offensive guy, but man, that front seven played so well that night, and that really willed us to win. We had three stops inside the 10-yard line.
3, yeah.
And that was just hats off to those guys going to compete. At that point, all the schemes out the window. It's right. Bow up and go stop them, and they did. They
did. I mean, the goal line stand. They got down to the 1 twice.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, yeah, they did.
Down to the 1 twice with the D1 running back.
Exactly.
I mean, he wasn't a slouch back there.
No.
And like I said, he had 38 yards and got to the 1 yard line twice and couldn't get in.
Yep. Hats off to those guys.
Those guys just played. They played hard.
They did. I look at, Brandon Parrish gets a big tackle for a loss in the third quarter on their first drive, I think. And then we just ease it down the field. Me and Tanner Miller, we had such a great connection on exactly when I was going to relay to Coach Richard the play call. He was signaling it in. And Tanner knew he was such a good game manager. And that's what, earned him an all-conference quarterback. Wasn't the biggest guy, wasn't the fastest, didn't have the strongest arm. But, man, he could manage a football game. And man, he did such a good job that night of bleeding the play clock. And, we punch one in the third quarter, take that lead. And every time we got the ball, I'm thinking, oh, my gosh, we just got to take as much time off the clock as we can. That was the game plan from then on.
Right. Yeah, it was a good one. It was a good game.
Yep. And I think about Dustin Clark, there at the end. We call a play we hadn't called all season long. Rocket toss to the boundary, and he takes it 27 yards and ices the game. And then Gabe Bennett gets the sack off the edge. And then the old Manila Police Department giving us the escort in after, man. It was a special night.
Yeah, people waiting for us at the stadium.
Man, I've never talked about that publicly. Man, if you were there that night, thank you. Like that was the coolest scene. My favorite football movie is Friday Night Lights. Really, probably my favorite movie ever. And if I ever felt like Billy Bob Thornton in Friday Night Lights, it was in that moment, when we pull into the parking lot and all those people were there. Yeah. That was pretty special.
They were excited, man. It was something to be excited about.
Yeah, it was.
They were supporting those kids, but yeah, those fans. We had phenomenal fans, and that's what it takes too. That's like we keep saying perfect storm,
right.
Like it's just a term, but it really is a perfect storm. Like everybody has to be on board.
Right. And everybody was. And like I could sit here for 4 hours and rattle off people that helped out that season. I could name every single player, every single person on the coaching staff, people in the community, people in the admin, people in the maintenance department. Like it really was the fans, right. And if we fail to mention you in this podcast, forgive us, but
so many. We couldn't mention them all in
our
one podcast. There were so many people that made that season so successful,
right?
And man, it was just so much fun. And then, golly, I know after Osceola, somebody had to paint the end zone.
So okay, I'm glad you brought that up. What's your thought process behind? Or what's your thought process when I say, hey, we're checkerboarding the end zones? Because I did promise the kids. Right. I said, if we get a home playoff game, I'm going to do something to the field. Right. I thought that was maybe the easiest thing to do. You maybe not so much checkerboarding the end zone.
I think it looks cool.
Oh, it looks so cool.
I think it looks good.
Does your back still hurt today from that?
I've finally come over it. 7 back surgeries later.
It took you 5 years.
But no, it looked good, and I like the checkerboard look on the fields that we've been to that had the checkerboard look.
Right.
And so I thought it was a great idea until I was the guy that had to paint it.
Well, because you got to bend over. Let's see, it was 3 yards by 3 yards, and we had that frame that we were moving every however many times it took.
And we didn't have a wand. We had a gun that just had the spray was right there. So you had to bend over. You couldn't just hold it up high and spray. You had to bend over and spray each square individually.
Well, I'm sorry I put that burden on you. I helped out a little. I helped out. It's not like I wasn't there. I was there. I did get called out one day, and I had to go do an interview or something. I can't remember, but
I ain't gonna lie, it got me out of class for 2 whole days.
See, hey, delegation. You told me delegation, right?
The one-time delegation, I didn't want it to work in my favor.
You talk about so many people being involved in that successful season. I'm gonna really, really give you your flowers here. You coach the slot backs and the outside linebackers. Well, in that first round of the playoffs against Danville at home, you had 3 slot backs combined for over 450 yards rushing. And so obviously you do a little more than water coolers and towels. Kurt Overton, Dustin Clark, Kobe Taylor, they all ran for over 100, and Kurt went for like 232, which went on to be, if I'm not mistaken, the most rushing yards in an Arkansas high school state playoff game with 591 that night.
Right. Yeah, well.
By a team.
They're good athletes.
They are. A lot better than myself.
I just let the play caller give them the ball.
That's right.
I kept them cold water. They were fresh. They were hydrated when they got in the game. But no, they're great kids, man. And like you said, man, you called a great game. And, man, our guys up front, man, were moving
great
people
job.
And opening holes. And a lot of those runs were, we're untouched for 6-7 yards.
Right.
Kurt and DC, they're so shifty anyway. They didn't need a lot of blocking. So if you give them a little, they're gonna go a long way. And so they were fun to coach.
They were.
Just special athletes, and man, to give them the ball and to see that success they had that night. Like I said, 591 yards in a playoff game. That's rushing, just rushing. No, right. Not passing, just rushing. That's awesome.
Yeah, Brian Regal, I'll never forget when you gave me the stat sheet right at the end of the game, and I didn't believe him at first. He had it circled real big, 591, and I'm like, 591 what? Like, what is this? He's like, that's rushing yards, coach, and there's no way. So that was a special night. I think about Cameron Powers, my guy Cam. We run counter, and he leads up, and man, Danville, they flew to the motion, and if you watch it on film, Cameron touches nobody on the way through. Kurt follows him, and he comes running off. He's like, Coach, I didn't even touch anybody, and we scored. That was a pretty cool moment. A night that I'll never forget for sure.
Oh, it was fun. Oh, it was so fun. Energy in the stadium at Manila was hot that
Yes, it was.
And to see those kids just having fun and playing hard.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
It was great. And the next week we go over to Boonville. We take the long trip, and and it kind of ended that night. It ended that little chapter of our story.
Mm-hmm.
The kids left it all out there. We competed with a semifinal football team for a quarter and a half, and kept it somewhat close, and we just got beat that night.
Right.
And I was so upset after. I just didn't want it to end. Like we were having so much fun together. It's not that the fact we lost the game. Like it was like, dang, this chapter in the book is over,
right.
and I didn't want it to be over with yet.
Well, we were living the dream.
Yeah,
and that's what I think back to that season and all that fun we had and all that we did, and it's been hard to repeat that.
Right.
I mean, you don't realize it while you're in it how good it is until you're out of it, and then.
I made that comment playing golf the other day. Yeah. I said, I wish I had realized that we were in the good times, when we were in the good times. Like,
right.
You look back on it, you reminisce so much. Now, did we get all the juice out of that squeeze? I think we did. And I think we enjoyed it. And, we weren't all work. We took time to kick back and enjoy. But, man, we reminisce on this a lot. So this is not a first time thing. If you're listening about this season, we talk about this season a lot.
Make sure I'm not hitting the wall.
Put a hole in it, dog.
No, we do talk about it a lot. We play a lot of golf and we do things together, and that's what I love about it is the relationship not only that we built as work buddies,
right,
but we've developed a relationship as life buddies,
right, and that's the way it's going to be forever.
Yeah, I mean, like we're brothers. We're not. It's not something we just say and we talk about. It's something we do.
Right.
And it's who we are, and that's what's special about it.
It leads into you and your family coming and watch my little brother win a national championship at the college level. It leads to you and your family coming and watching me coach at the college level. And like those, those little memories, man, mean so much to me. Just as much as that season did to me, so thank you for always being that. And that's really that's how it all started. That season is, the birth of a lifelong friendship and being brothers. Yeah. No doubt.
I mean, my kids to this day, anytime I talk about Coach White, is Coach White coming over? We're at 7-on-7 at Hoxie 2 weeks ago, and Michael, is Coach White going to be here? Evie's like, Evie and Megan came over to watch.
Right.
The whole purpose was to see Coach White. They wasn't coming to watch Michael play football. They were coming to see Coach White, and the whole time we're there, every time we'd get close, if you were running and doing something, Michael's like, can I go over and say hi to him now? Can I go out and say hi to him now? Can I go say, I said, well, he's busy right now. You'll catch him here in a little bit, or, he's coach, you were coaching one time and he come up, he said, can I go over and say hi to him? Because y'all were standing out on the field.
Right.
I said, no, they're coaching right now. I said, they'll be done. And when he comes off the field, go say hi to him, but that's, my kids think you're the greatest thing ever.
I think they're awesome too. I look at them, I don't have kids yet, but heck, I look at them like my own, really are closer to like little brother, little sister. But I mean, they're my family too. And you tell Scooter, Mike, man, it doesn't matter what I'm doing on this planet. If he wants to come say hi to me, I'm going to make time to give him a freaking hug. That's my dude.
He even got upset because he wanted to come in and say hi to Taylor, and I wouldn't let him go in the hospitality room. He's like, "Is Taylor here?" And I was like, "Yeah, she's here. She's in the hospitality room." And he said, "Oh, can I go and say hi to her?" I said, "No, that's for coaches only." I said, "You can't go in there." Oh, Dad. And then we came out. I think it was before the tournament started.
Right.
And we're walking to the field, and the vehicle that they had rode in was gone.
Right.
And he said, "Is she still here?" And I said, "No, I think they left already." He said, "Gosh, dog." So I mean, like my kids. Your family, and that's what is awesome. And so real quick for y'all that don't know Scooter Mike, if you're new to meeting Michael, we apologize. You're Scooter Mike today, but my first week on the job, we moved to Manila. And backstory here, my son's name is Michael Hogan, and when we named him that, Megan said nobody's ever going to call him Mike. If we name him Michael, he's always going to be Michael.
I didn't know this.
His name's not going to be Mike.
I'm sorry, Miss Megan. I'm sorry.
We'll call him Michael. And for 12 years, we'd called him Michael. And, man, that day he rolled up on that scooter and you opened the door. And y'all had met because you knew his name.
Right.
And so it was a couple days in, and you opened the door, and there he's rolling up on his little Razor scooter. "Hey, Scooter Mike," and I'm just telling you, it stuck. Like,
I don't know what made me say it. I don't know what made it happen.
I don't know.
To that, in my mind, and I'm a big nickname guy. Like, I love giving nicknames. It's I'm not good at a lot, but I think I'm a pretty good nickname giver. And that day, in my mind, he was Scooter Mike, and I think it stuck around.
It stuck really good. I even use it as an email.
If that's great. I think on the playoff shirt, I think there might be something that says managers. I think it says Scooter Mike on there, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it still does on the playoff shirt.
Yeah,
I think it's on the bottom down there where it says manager Scooter Mike.
It's legendary. We love you, Michael.
Yeah.
But you talk about just becoming family, and man, there's been so many good times, and there's a lot of good times ahead.
Right.
And so I can't thank you for everything you've done for me. But now that we've kind of talked about this time at Manila, and we've both moved on into different walks of life. Right. And so I want to talk about what you're up to now. You're coached at your alma mater, Paragould High School. So tell me how much pride you feel being at your alma mater, Coach.
Man, that's living the dream.
I guarantee you.
That's living the dream. When I first started coaching, I was like, I always wanted to coach at Paragould.
Right.
Some people don't want to go home, but I did. I wanted to go home. I wanted to coach at Paragould, and God has a plan.
Always
has a plan. My grandparents, phenomenal people, supported me. My grandma was always at all my games. Even when I started coaching, even when I come over here at Manila, Grandma and Grandpa would come over and watch me coach here, and I always wanted to get home and so they could watch me coach.
Right.
And bless his heart, Grandma watches me from the sky now.
Right.
She never got to watch me coach from the field at Paragould. But I was able to get back in time to see her in her last days.
Right.
But coaching at Paragould, I mean, it's just it's a dream come true.
That's awesome, Coach.
Every day I wake up and I'm like, is this real? Is this what I'm really doing? And I've coached at some good schools and had some good teams at other places, and those places are important to me, and those kids are just important to me too. But to be able to where I'm at now, it's just awesome.
Man, that makes me so happy.
It's just awesome.
That makes me so happy. And not only are you at your alma mater, heck, Scooter Mike, your son Michael's about to be a junior, and you're getting to coach him.
Right.
And so, you didn't really get to coach him, a couple of years at Manila.
Right.
But now he's in senior high. He's playing on Friday nights under those lights, in those special moments. What's it like coaching Michael?
It's different.
Right.
It's different, and it's special because – I've coached everybody else's kids for all these years that he's been growing up, and he's always been on the sideline carrying water bottles and doing stuff. But now he's in the pads, and I get to see him out there. And sometimes it's just I just like to step back and watch,
of course,
and be dad. And luckily, I don't coach his position, so I don't have to deal with him every minute of the game. But he still likes to come down and talk to me and see what I'm seeing and talk about the game and how things are going, what I think's working and not working, and. Man, just him being there is phenomenal.
That's great.
It's awesome. It's a relationship that we have that you just can't put it into words how much fun it is.
Man, that's awesome. And one thing that I look at, I don't know if it's on purpose or by design or not, but, I wore number 16. He's number 16. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. I saw that on the back of his little practice top at the 7-on-7, man. It gave me chills, man. And like I said, there's no shot that Scooter Mike wears 16 for me. I was a terrible player. But, the fact that we kind of get to share that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. When he got to high school, he got that number. I don't know if it was just what was open or what was left, or he picked it. And when he picked it, he didn't think nothing about it. But then I told him, hey, this, Coach White was 16 at high school. He's like, really? Really? Oh, yeah. I'm going to be 16 for sure.
That's awesome. Man.
And so, he's pretty excited about it. He likes it.
And then you're going to get to coach Evie in softball soon, your daughter. How excited are you for that?
Yeah, I'm excited. She was a little slow coming into softball, but this is her freshman year. This will be her first time to play for me.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
I always told coaches in little leagues and stuff growing up, and my kids, I never forced them to play sports. I never was that. Okay, we're going to the field house. We're going to the cages. We're going to. And Evie even asked my wife one time when she was little, if I don't play softball, do you think Daddy will be mad at me? And I was like. I come in her room later that night. I said, no, baby. I said, you do whatever you want to do. Right. Dad's going to love you and support you, whatever.
Absolutely.
That's what I do. But she has come along and played, and she's a little more hard-headed than Michael. Bless her heart. She's got a lot of her mama in her. But no, I love both of them. And no, it's going to be fun. It's going to be challenging. I I've never coached my kids up until now. So I've
Right.
coached other people's kids. So, they always say you're harder on yours than you are others most of the time. And so far I've seen that to be true.
Awesome.
But I love coaching. I mean, and to do it at where I went to school, I looked out there the other day, back during the spring, and Michael was playing outfield, and he was playing outfield in the same positions I stood 30 years ago.
Right. Man, it's got to be special.
And it's pretty cool.
Man,
it's pretty cool to sit there and think, man, he's standing in the same spot where I stood 30 years ago playing the same game.
And I can't wait to have mine, and that be me in 30 years or whatever it's going to be. But 16, I guess, whatever, however many years.
However long.
But, I can't wait to watch that develop from the sidelines. You coaching Michael and you coaching Evie, and I'll be at games in the spring now that I'm not a spring sport coach, and so I'll be there. Speaking of watching from the sidelines, thank goodness we don't have to coach against each other this year.
Right, we took you off the schedule.
We're off the schedule, man. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I've told you this. I coached against my father our second year at Manila. We played against Truman. Coaching against you last year was just as hard on me as that night was. I mean, we're that close, and it's like I loved it, but I hated it. It's like one of us is going to be the loser, one of us is going to be the victor.
Right.
Hell to the victors, Michigan fan. But y'all got the best of us that night. But man, I look at that moment after the game. My family, your family coming together, hugging, taking pictures. Like, when the horn blew, that was over. Like that part of our life was over. Like it was back to us being us. Yeah. And so that was pretty special.
And that's that family atmosphere that you brought that in. Like, not everywhere I've been have I felt like my kids were welcome in the field house.
Right.
All the time. And man, at Manila, I just always felt like my kids were part of it, and you wanted that. Like
absolutely,
you never discouraged kids being around, and like every time they come up, you had something to say to them. You were positive to them. And man, that relationship we built. I mean, you're your family, and like you said, it's hard in the matter of competition because I want to win, but I want you to win. It's tough there, but then after it's over, it's like, okay, that's over. We can go back to. Let's go hit a golf ball.
Absolutely. Thank goodness we don't have to do that this year. We can root each other on all 10 weeks of the season.
We can relax and say, okay, hey, you go from over here, I will go from over here.
Man, I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed this. I've learned, and the beautiful thing about podcasting is, we're close. We talk together. We talk every single day. Right. We talk to each other in some way, shape, or form. But I've learned things about you, and that's super cool. But man, I've enjoyed the heck out of this. But I want to wrap this up with a little rapid fire. Okay. A little stuff. We're going to go all over the place with these next 4 or 5 questions. Nice. So hope you're ready. First thing that comes to your mind. Okay.
First thing that comes to my mind.
Obviously, Michigan hat, Michigan shirt. We live in Arkansas. How'd you become a Michigan fan, man?
I didn't have cable TV growing up.
Oh man, really?
I didn't. I grew up on a cattle farm out in Oak Grove, and we got ABC and NBC sometimes, and CBS on extreme occasions.
Okay.
But Michigan, Notre Dame always played football on TV.
Right.
And man, I just liked their colors, and I was like, man, I like that. And then the name Bo Schembechler. Right. There's not very many Schembechlers in the world. So when you're 6 years old, Bo Schembechler sounds pretty cool.
Yes, it does.
And so I was like, well, I'll be a Michigan fan. And so I just started rooting for Michigan, and everybody around me was Arkansas fans, Arkansas State fans. And I was like, this is different. It's a different team, and I'll just keep going for them, and hopefully my team beats your team.
There you go.
And so kind of developed a little competition with my family, It's like, all right, y'all going to root for them. I'll root for these guys,
You've got to see a lot of Michigan success in the past few years.
Past few years have been good for us, a football national championship, a basketball national championship, A few years back, the softball team made a run at it.
That's right, yeah.
The softball team made a good run, but matter of fact, the winningest coach in college softball history coaches at Michigan.
Did not know that.
The Hutch.
Okay.
Yeah, she's phenomenal.
Awesome.
Been doing it a long time, longer than I've been alive.
And they have the coolest football helmets in all college football. They do. Hands down.
They do. They're pretty cool. But, we've had some good players come through, and it's been fun to watch. And there's been some down years, but, for the most part, I've enjoyed being a Michigan fan.
Awesome. He says go blue.
Go blue.
So you're a big slow pitch softball guy. That's something that we have not talked about yet. I don't know how. But you play almost every weekend in the summer.
I play a ton.
Who's your favorite slow pitch softball teammate ever?
Favorite slow pitch softball teammate ever? Whew. That's tough, man.
I know. I'll put you on the spot on that.
Can I go with 2? Can I get a pass and go with 2?
Absolutely.
Because Clint Dixon, I went to high school with Clint Dixon. We played high school baseball together, and he died of lung cancer while I was at Barton.
Okay.
And we played for about 10, 12 years there. And man, he was like, I don't know if you know this about me, but I got a little competitive streak in me.
You do?
When I get on the field, I'm not going to say I've always done things the right way. And Clint was kind of like my mentor. He had me under control. Like he could control me. He knew when to calm me down and when to let me go and when let me do my thing. Because slow pitch softball to me is the World Series.
Right.
I've been playing for 35 years now. I love it. I mean, it's what I do. But when I'm on the field, I'm competing. I'm playing to win.
Yes.
And so Clint, man, he did a great job, and he really kept me on teams, on good teams, that a lot of the other guys, because of the way I acted and the foolish things I did, they weren't so sure about playing with me.
Right.
But he'd keep me around, and he took care of me. And so he was a really good teammate of mine, and always made sure I was taken care of.
Right.
And then after he passed, I met Brian Riga.
Man, my guy.
Riga, you talked about him. He kept stats for us that year, which is small world.
Like, and I've talked about that multiple times. He was my youth pastor.
Yeah.
And then he did stats for my dad. Well, my dad was a head coach. And as soon as I got the job, Brian, forgive me, I can't remember if you reached out to me or I reached out to you, but it was like a no-brainer. I'm like, yes, you did this for my dad. You may not have done it since. You're my stat guy.
Phenomenal guy. Phenomenal.
Salt of the earth.
And a great softball player.
Yes.
He's been playing for years. Sorry, Riga, you're substantially older than I am. but no, and me and him have kind of been a package deal the last 10 years.
Right.
Like we've been looking for teams to play on, and like he would look around for a team, and if I heard somebody looking for players, if I went, he had to go too, or if he went, I had to go too, and so we played together on some teams, with some young teams, some guys we didn't even know, but we went together and made it work and had fun. And man, I've played a lot of co-ed with him, and
awesome.
Yeah, he's just been a phenomenal guy to be around and just a great person. And so he's probably my recent.
Awesome.
When you played 30 years, you've played with a lot of guys.
A lot of guys.
But,
including my little brother.
Including your little brother. Playing with him now.
And y'all both try to get me out there. I got to get out there.
Come on.
I'm ready to compete.
It's fun.
I might break a hip or something, but I'll go let it rip.
It's fun. I wish more younger kids did it. When I got into the game 30 years ago, it was big.
Right.
Yeah, like slow pitch softball around this area was huge.
Right.
And it's kind of died off a little bit. There's not a lot of young guys getting in it. And, it's hot, and it takes a lot of money, and it takes time. And, I attributed a lot to travel ball, like little kids ball, because when I grew up, and I don't know, your generation, you're a little younger than I am. So my generation, we did what our parents wanted to do on the weekends. If our parents wanted to go to the lake, we went to the lake.
Right.
If our parents wanted to go fishing, we went fishing. If our parents wanted to play softball, we went to the softball park and watched them play softball.
That's right.
You did what your parents wanted to do. So that was kind of the generation I was in. So I just started playing, and, I've taken my kids, bless their hearts. They've been to every park in the world. But my wife, bless her heart, she's been a gamer. She's gone with me. And I told her when we got married, I got two hobbies. I play poker and I play softball.
There you go.
And if you don't like that, then we probably don't need to get married.
Well, it's worked out for you both.
It's worked out. But yeah, so man, it's a fun sport.
Awesome.
It's fun. It's competitive. You play to win, and I think it just kind of keeps that competitive fire going. It gives me a chance to release some of that on coaching. I can't,
right.
You got to, not that I go out to slow pitch and just act a fool, but there's some energy I can release out there that I can't release on the sidelines. Because,
correct.
I'm trying to be the leader for the team and keep everybody calm and collective. And sometimes I like to be loud and wild. And
let it rip, baby.
Let it go. So,
that's what you do.
That's what I do.
So we've kind of talked about more things tailored to you with these rapid fire things, and I got two more. You got a Jeep Gladiator. We've rode in many, many times. Where's your favorite place to take that thing mudding? Because I know you love a mud hole.
Oh, man, favorite place to take it mudding. Man, that's tough.
Put you on the spot, dog.
Put me on the spot with that one. Yeah, I'd say there's a fey fields around Manila that I've tread in a couple times. We might have cotton bell slalom a few times.
We might have cut up some snow and gone through around some cotton bells.
Yeah, my buddy's got a bean field there behind his house there in Perryville.
Okay.
And he's got some holes that he's wore out with side by side and four wheelers that he's got some deep holes in. And we'll go out there and we'll get it covered up. We'll mud out there a little bit, but I really haven't taken it mudding that much. I really don't.
You've dialed it back a little.
I dialed it back a little, just a little in a few years, but no. Probably there or the Truman Levee. You know,
There you go.
We'd get out on the Truman Levee and
There you
get
go.
muddy there.
Dirty T-Town, the homestead.
The home of Kane White.
The homestead, home of Will White and his older brother. That's what I like to call it. But if you know Coach Bailey, you know my man Jarrod Bailey, you know he loves to sing. Man, you're a fantastic singer. You got the voice of an angel. Okay, and I see it daily in your Snapchat karaoke.
Now you're lying.
Oh, no, that's the truth.
Yeah.
Hey, it's beautiful. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Go-to karaoke song. Well, my number one pick is always Ice Ice Baby.
Okay.
Vanilla Ice.
That's right.
Yeah, that's my go-to. That's the one song I know all the words to. That and God Bless the USA.
Amen.
So I got to start there, and then from there I go to Toby Keith. Should have been a cowboy.
That's right.
Yeah, that's probably my next one. And then
rest in peace, Toby.
Yeah, rest in peace. Bless him. Hey, put out some. You know, and what's crazy is like I'm a big '90s country guy.
Yes, you are.
If you're on my Snapchat karaoke, you get tired of '90s country, but that's okay. Late '80s, early '90s is where I live. But no, you know, I like that mode of music.
Right.
You know, the Toby Keiths, the George Straits, the Clint Blacks. You know, Keith Whitley's probably my favorite artist. His music's a little slower, so it's not as much fun to karaoke. But
we are no stranger to the rain.
No stranger to the rain. You know, and don't close your eyes.
Oh, never.
No, don't close your eyes. But no, so that those are probably some of my go-to songs.
That's awesome. I do love singing. It makes my day every day. And then you can't forget Sammy Kershaw's Queen of My Double Way.
Queen of My Double Way.
That is my go-to.
That's your go-to.
And that's we sing that one back and forth quite a bit.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good one too. That's a mainstay on my playlist.
The fact that he was in Paragould, Arkansas.
He was.
And we did not go to that concert.
What were we doing?
I was in Nashville with my father in a Charlie Crockett concert. And so if I had not already had that planned, we would have been there. Probably front row. We may have gotten on stage with him.
There was a rodeo in town that weekend.
Okay.
And it rained Friday. Like Friday, it kind of rained, so the rodeo, the crowd at the rodeo was kind of low. But I ended up not going because the weather was bad, but I didn't even know Sammy Kershaw was in town. I live 1 mile from where Sammy Kershaw was performing.
Man, we dropped the ball.
And wasn't there.
We dropped the ball. We got to do some bear crawls.
We dropped the ball. We fumbled that one back.
We did.
So next time he comes close, we'll be there.
I know one thing we didn't fumble, and that was this podcast.
Oh,
man, I had so much fun.
Fun times.
It's just a blessing what you've been to me and my family. Right. I truthfully mean that. And where this is going to go from here, our friendship, who knows? But I cannot wait to see how it unfolds.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much for having me. I enjoy this opportunity.
Man, you killed it, and maybe we'll have you on again in the future. We might have to maybe episode 100 or something. Greatest hits. Might bring multiple people in. We'll get some, and we might have to have you Snapchat karaoke in the episode.
A singing podcast.
There we go.
We sing duets.
That would do huge numbers.
Yeah.
Thank you all for tuning in. Episode 23 with Jarrod Bailey. We'll see you next time.